Yo, what's good? It's your boy Dre from the SEVNSIX Collective. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how I make my melodies. This is pretty much like how to improve your melodies and how to make them, just more fire in general. So I'm going to show you guys kind of my process. It's going to be really focused on the melody in this. I'm not going to be really making a whole beat with it. I just kind of wanted to show you guys how I make my melodies. I've done one of these videos before, but I feel like I've improved since then, and I feel like I wanted to show you guys like how I make mine now. So yeah, we're just gonna jump straight into this. If you guys are new to the channel, right before just before I jump into this tutorial, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe, and you guys can follow me on my social medias at SEVNSIX, Twitter, Instagram. Yeah, so make sure you guys hit me on those. Make sure you guys follow the SEVNSIX Collective on Instagram as well. You guys can be notified when we drop our tutorials, when our kits are coming out and all that. So yeah, without further ado, let's just jump straight into this and start making this melody. So first things first, when making melodies is of course always get a scale going first. There's two ways you can do this really. You could let's see, you could actually pick a scale from here. Okay, my bad. You could pick a scale from here, or you could even just, if you don't want to put in the ghost notes, you can just set it up so it puts them in for you. And how you do that, you just go to let's see where it's at. You go to helpers, scale highlighting, and then you just pretty much pick whatever scale you want to use, and it'll highlight the notes in this gray, or I guess this white, and this is the black. It'll highlight them in white, and that'll just pretty much show you what notes you need to keep everything in key. So yeah, I'm gonna go with just the ghost notes. That's just what I like doing, so we'll go with that. We're gonna go to Alien scale, and I'm just gonna pick a random key that I just, it's whatever, just pick a random key. B is fine, we'll go with B, and then I'm gonna put that in for every B key. It's pretty much how I make all my beats. You don't really need music theory. Just follow these scales and everything should come out fine. Now I'm gonna open up a plugin. I'm just gonna go for like Lounge Lizard. We'll find something, some random preset, and we'll just make our beat with that, or a melody I should say. A lot of people think that it's a lot of different things that you need to make good melodies, but one of the major things that I find helpful is just sound selection. I like to get my sounds going in the beginning, but you could do it however you want to. You could just start with the piano and then pick through sounds, but I like to find a sound that I like first, and then I'll build my melody on it. And if I don't like it, obviously I could change it, but that's just how I do things. Yeah, I'll just stick with the spirit of the 70s. I'll play that sound for you guys, just so you guys can hear what I'm doing. It's just like some 70s synth roads. Nothing crazy. Okay, now we're just going to start making the melody. We're going to start off simple. I don't know if any of you guys know this already, but this is a valuable tip that I've learned just, being a student of the game, is you can make your melodies just by making the bass notes first. It's a super helpful tip. It gets you already kind of an idea of where your melody is going to go if you start with just using the bass notes. So for example, we'll just say, we'll start here, we'll play that. If you just go from B to like, let's see, what is this? You can kind of get an idea of what the melody will already sound like if you're just going off the bass notes. So. This is not going to be the melody, but this is just so I could show you guys what I'm talking about here. I'll probably drop my BPM a little bit more, like 100. And then we're just going to skip every other note. And this is just to show you guys what I'm talking about by using the bass line. Simple as that. You're really just stacking chords at this point. But that's one way of making a melody, and I've used this technique before. I'm not going to use it right now just because I don't feel like it, but if you have like beat block or anything and you just want to come up with a nice quick melody, Just, go off the bass notes, play something that you think that sounds good, and start building your melody. But yeah, I'm not gonna go with that because I'm not feeling that. So how else I would normally start is just clicking in notes, just playing stuff like this. I'm online. And then you just pretty much, the second melody would, or chord progression, I should say, would just come in random like this. See, and if you just like, it doesn't really matter. You don't have to space them out like how I'm doing. You could just, obviously just mess around with the keys. That's what music producing is. It's trial and error. So as you can see, what I have here, I have these notes in together, and that just creates like a whole nother kind of progression. It's not basic like this. I feel like when you add notes closer together, it adds more like like value and volume to your actual melody. I see how I like how this is kind of sounding. So this is pretty much my bass melody. Now I'm gonna go in and add like a little bit of some unique kind of characteristics to the melody to add more spice and life to it. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna go up here and we're just gonna add kind of like an additional top melody to go over it, or just some additional keys to give it more flavor. See right here, we just got a nice little melody going already. See, I think I'm gonna loop this and then add that variation that I'm going with up here over here. So this is another way to make loops as well. I mean, this is kind of like a melody loop tutorial. This is just showing you guys like my process and how I make my melodies, and then which I can transform them into loops. So yeah, we'll just keep going off of that. And another thing I like to do to my keys a lot to spice them up and make them more realistic is I'll decrease the length of the note just to make it seem like you're tapping, pretty fast with the keys. So I think for this little portion, let's see, we can maybe add like a little variation right here. Kind of like this. It sounds like a pretty dope, this would make like a really dope 80s melody if you're making that kind of music, or even for like the weekend. I could hear him, singing over this. So another thing I like to do with my melodies as well is I used to teach this method a lot, is to strum your keys, but I realized like actually using the strumizer tool, it's not really realistic. I mean, yeah, it sounds nice, and you could use it in your production, but if you really want to make it sound like authentic and real, you could just take off the snap and put on none, and then you just go in here and you manually mess with your notes. So for example, let's just see, we'll pick like this right here. We'll slightly strum that a little bit. You just want to offset them a little bit to make it seem like these are played live. See, you can already tell that it's like offsetted and it sounds realistic. See, it really doesn't take a whole lot to make pretty good melodies, in my opinion. Obviously, in order to get to this kind of this melody creating, you have to have years of experience, or not necessarily years of experience, but just practice. Practice is the best advice I could give to make like efficient and good melodies. You just got to practice your craft. Don't even focus on making beats a whole lot. Just more like how I learned how to make beats, pretty much, or produce music, is just I focused on one area at a time. I really wanted to invest a lot of my melody creating, so I decided to just start creating strictly melodies rather than just beats, because I feel like the producing aspect is a lot more, it goes by a lot more better if you know how to make your own personal melodies and everything. You get an idea of how everything sounds together, and then obviously the drums, in my opinion, is the easiest part, so I personally save that up for a little bit later, and I focus more on the actual instrumentation going into my melodies. And you don't want to overdo the offsetting. See, I'm just doing like here and there. I'm kind of leaving like my top melody alone. Try not to move everything too much because you want to make it sound realistic still. And just you offset a couple notes here and there. And now what I'm going to do is all that excess note that I glided into the other chord progressions, I'm just going to trim out. So I'll take my line back in on the snap and just go and cut that out so they don't bleed into each other. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I do it just because I want everything to have its own little moment. accidentally duplicated those, so I'll take that out real quick. And lastly, what I do to my melodies, just to make them even more real and authentic, is I'll press Alt-R, and that randomizes the notes to give everything like different velocities. You can go in here and manually move them if you want to. Like, for example, these top melodies, we can bring those down a little bit, or even bring them a little bit higher. Usually randomizer usually does all the work for you though, so you don't really have to go in here, but it's you know, it's your song at the end of the day, so you can do whatever makes you happy. I think what I'll do is just go ahead and add a bass note in here, or not a bass note, my bad, like a sub bass, just for extra texture. Possibly even some ideas for you guys, you know, for your own personal beats. We're gonna go type this in the audio corrector real quick, just so I can see what note we're playing in. Let's see. All right, that's fine. And I'll put that on normalize as well, so we can get full volume. Sub bass adds a real nice texture to everything. Yeah, but anyways, that's pretty much okay, stop. That's pretty much how I make my melodies. They're not really complicated, to be honest. This was just kind of like a simple representation of how I make my melodies. This is more kind of like a beginner's melody tutorial. But yeah, this is how I pretty much, obviously I would take a little bit more time with my melody. This is pretty good, I'm not gonna lie, this is pretty good. But I would take a little bit more time, kind of find everything, make it flow together the way that I truly wanted to. But in a nutshell, this is pretty much how I would do it, you know, randomizing my notes, adding, you know, some manual touches in there with the keys and how everything is played. Yo, so I hope you guys found that video helpful. If you guys want to see more videos like this, leave them in the comments and I'll be down to do another one for you guys. I think I'm going to go in a little bit more depth in the next video that I do, which I'll be doing about, you know, how I make my loops. And I mean, obviously that'll show you the more kind of complex version of how I put the melody and everything together. But like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Feel free to leave a like on this video, comment, subscribe, share it. I'm trying to give you guys quality content and everything. So yeah, that's pretty much everything from me. Like I said in the beginning of the video, you guys can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at SEVNSIX. Help me hit 800 followers. You guys can also follow the SEVNSIX Collective, and pretty much everyone that's in the roster we're following or is being followed on the SEVNSIX Collective team page. And so make sure you guys go hit them all with follows. And yeah, that's pretty much everything for me. It's your boy SEVNSIX. I'll catch you guys in the next video.